What's going on, guys? Garden Report back in action.
Craziness. That's what's going on. Craziness.
You know, I love it. I mean, get out of here. Do we have another guy?
Nope, just Ahmed.
I thought Jimmy,
gotta-
not just Ahmed. Ahmed is don't ever
He's the
refer
man.
to him as
He's the man
just
behind the
Ahmed
show.
again. We're here hanging out. Obviously, free agency begins at 6 p.m., as you can see by the graphic there at the bottom of your screen. But everything just blew apart in the NBA again with news earlier this afternoon that Kevin Durant, see ya. Kyrie in, Durant out. Bye. That's it, right?
So sad.
So we went through this. We did this, guys. We did the show. And we go around, well, what's this mean for the Nets? And a lot of people are like, it'll tank anyway. Can't count on Kyrie. Can't count on Simmons. Apparently, you can't count on KD. He wasn't waiting to see what would happen. He didn't wait to see if Kyrie opted in, whether he would stay. He waited to see Kyrie opted in so he could say, good, I'm getting the F out of here. And that's what happened. So really interesting here, guys. Initial reaction to this going on. And immediately what happens, we start the Jaylen Brown disrespect train and like who's going to get him and how much and is it worth it and blah, blah, blah. And people are yelling at me on Twitter and Bobby wants to give away 7 draft picks and we're off and running with the madness here. So guys, let's take the pulse here. Your initial reaction to how this all went down. Josue, you first.
I'm not surprised. I'm really not. But at the same time, I always thought that it was going to be Kyrie, right? I mean, we all did, right? I mean, between the issues with Ben Simmons being on the roster. Is Bobby mad
because I let you go first? Is that why he left?
I'm hoping he got some sort of breaking news or something. I don't know.
Go ahead.
He's like, I guess I can just jump back in when Josue is done. But no, I mean, I'm not surprised because I guess what I'm trying to say is I'm just surprised it's not Kyrie. This is Durant, and again, the reason why I'm not surprised is because it's just not working for them. And between the cap flexibility or lack thereof, Ben Simmons and so many question marks surrounding their supporting cast, and you look at what happened in the playoffs. I mean, where do you see a bright spot for Kevin Durant? Where do you see a way for them to compete in the East when you have so much you have to get through, in terms of trying to find continuity? Pretty much all the excuses they said after being swept still remain, obviously, but then I could see Kevin Durant looking at himself like, look, I don't have a huge window here to compete for a championship. If we're not doing this year, then this isn't the team for me. This isn't going to work. This quote unquote third superstar that we're lacking or that final piece, it's going to be hard for them to get that when you have someone like Ben Simmons taking up the payroll, which is obviously the biggest question going into the offseason that was on everybody's mind when you look at the Brooklyn Nets and what they're going to do. So it doesn't come as a surprise. I just didn't see a way for them to compete or improve the roster with both of those guys being on there, or at least significantly improving the roster. So Kevin Durant's like, look, I'm trying to win champips. I'm out. Yeah. Are the Boston Celtics up there on this list? I'm sure they are. I'm sure along with the Phoenix Suns, along with the, maybe a couple of other teams. So it'll be interesting to see how this thing plays out. But I mean, listen, if you're the Celtics, you have to sort of, monitor this thing and see what you can do. But this whole give them the farm or put Jaylen up right away, get this thing done, I don't know if that's the right move right now. I just don't. I don't know if that's what you want to do if you're Brad Stevens and Ime Udoka. Coming off of this year, when you overachieved, I don't know. Especially if you're talking about trading one of the Jays.
We'll get to Jaylen in a second because I agree, Josue. I'm kind of in your camp on that one, but I know Bobby differs, and I don't want to go off the rails just with that full debate now because we're going to get into it eventually. Both right. Whether that's something you want to consider if you're a Celtics fan. Is it the best package? How do you compete with other teams? All of that stuff. But Bobby, do you agree here? I'm surprised. Here's why I'm surprised. It seemed like, I'd love to do it somewhere else, but honestly, we may be better off together here. Like, it's not perfect, but the best shot we've got is to kind of stay together, run it back, see whether or not this thing works out. Simmons regains his mojo. Kyrie is on best behavior. He's almost on a 1-year prove it deal, albeit a $37 million one. And, to justify sticking around one more year and making it happen. So of all of the things we thought might happen to derail the Nets, and there were many possibilities, many of them. The last one I thought was KD immediately saying, I'm out once Kyrie opted in. I didn't see that coming.
I thought about it yesterday. In fact, I had Justin Brooklyn's beat on Dome Theory, and I asked him.
That's a real name.
I asked him, when is Durant going to look at the situation and say, I'm done with this? Like, Kyrie was going to leave. Kyrie was going to leave him high and dry in Brooklyn as he begins this extension. And that can't be ignored. He was radio silent through this whole week. Kyrie comes back on a 1-year, essentially prove it deal here. And no real indication of where the situation is going to go in the future. So I didn't think it was going to happen today. But if they got off to a rough start this next year, I could have easily seen Durant saying, all right, I'm done here. Because he's older. He's a couple of years removed from this injury. He can go essentially wherever he wants and contend for a championship right now at the level he's playing at. So why continue to latch yourself onto Kyrie? This is the question we've been asking for 2 years now, maybe even longer, just based on how this whole situation's gone on Brooklyn. And this last week was the last straw. And it's almost funny to see Kyrie say, I'm opting in to continue my commitment or secure my commitment to Durant. And Durant's going to say, well, I'm not doing it for you because we've been through 3 rounds.
I just thought Durant
hasn't worked at all.
I thought Durant could have picked his spot next year if it didn't work. I thought his best bet.
Nah, he doesn't want to go through this again, though, John. Like, he just went through it.
I don't think these guys understand how this works. Like, when you demand trades, you're kneecapping the team that you're going to, because the haul has to be enormous coming back. Okay. Yeah. So like, if you want to go to like ready-made contenders, that means you're going to pull a good player off that team and then destroy that team's future as well. And like, it's always messy. And right now, most of these deals have benefited the team getting the parts, not the player. Normally you think getting the star player is better, but I'm not going to say New Orleans was worse for giving away Anthony Davis. Certainly Houston's not worse for having given away James Harden. These are Davis was in his prime years. You would have expected things to go better there. And of course, they won a championship that first year. You're talking about a 34-year-old guy who's going to go somewhere, demand that you send 1 or 2 star type players back in return, plus a series of picks. That's not great. So if I'm Durant, I'd be thinking, why go somewhere, hobble another team because I don't want to be here anymore? Let's just run this back one time. And if it works, great. And if it doesn't, I'll ask for a trade the following year. And that's fine. I am surprised he did it now. That's all.
Yeah, but John,
that doesn't make sense to me. I don't get it now.
I'm with you, but the reason why I think it makes sense is when you look back at how everything played out, right? And this whole thing, in my opinion, the beginning of the end was when James Harden asked out. And shout out to James Harden because he had the foresight to see, wait a minute, Kyrie, at the time, right? Wait a minute, Kyrie can't play, at home. We're going to compete for a championship. How is this going to work? We're not. This guy's a big question mark. I'm not going to be the one.
It is funny.
I'm not going to be the one that.
Katie's looking to a trade to either number 1 seed again. So like, it's just funny to me, but go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy. No, but like, what I'm trying to say is James Harden knew that the easiest one out of the 3 would be the first one that wants out. Right. So he knew, he saw this thing coming. Like, he just saw the uneasiness of Kyrie Irving and his lack of availability. And he said, look, let me get out of here because it's going to be harder if I'm not the first one to go. And that's sort of how this whole thing started when Ben Simmons didn't even want to get on the floor. Even after the trade deadline, after he had all that time to regroup and do whatever he needed to do mentally to get himself on the floor, it still didn't happen. And if you're Kevin Durant, you're not thinking, oh, he's gonna have a moment of clarity throughout the summer and come back as a new changed guy. Again, I really think this thing comes back to James Harden leaving, Ben Simmons being the replacement. Ben Simmons, what he represents to the payroll and in terms of their limitations and trying to improve the roster. And I just think Kevin Durant had a moment of clarity maybe within the last 48 hours thinking, how is this going to work? How are we going to compete? If I can't compete for a championship, then this isn't the place for me. I'm approaching my mid-30s here. The clock is ticking. I want out. I just saw the Golden State Warriors win the championship against the team that swept me. How are we going to win here in Brooklyn? Like, if you're Kevin Durant, you have to think that way. And look, this is where we're at. Kyrie Irving in terms of him opting in. Doesn't look like he's going to be leaving anytime soon. And Kevin Durant said, look, I can't be the guy who's stuck, having to carry this franchise. Yeah.
So let me ask you guys this. I know, it's KD. So it's the allure of KD and him being certainly the second greatest player of this generation and one of the top at worst 15 players of all time, if not,
One of the best
higher than that.
scores
Ever,
yeah.
So I mean, he's a top 12, 13, 14, 15 player of all time, and clearly still near the top of his game. He's cruising to first team All NBA and potentially a top 2 or 3 MVP candidate if he doesn't get hurt. So that's last year, and again, everything he's been able to do post Achilles blows my freaking mind, because the list of people who have performed anywhere close to their level following an Achilles rupture, the list, you know how long the list is? One. KD.
Just him. Just him.
Not for 1 year. Yeah.
It doesn't happen, which speaks to how his potential longevity as he ages. I understand the argument that a person like KD, who doesn't rely on explosive elite athleticism to do most of what he does, because he's just such a good shooter and so crafty and getting to his spot, that even if he loses some of his physicality and a little bit of burst, he's still going to be able to be like super, super effective. Whereas you see James Harden, who was trying to set people up and get to the basket, he lost a little bit of his explosion, and he really looked like he went off a cliff there. KD relies a little less on that. And he's just able, I mean, he's 7 feet all day with friggin' a 9-foot wingspan, with his wingspan all day, able to just up and shoot up and over people. And that's not going anywhere. So I get it. But how many good years do you think you legitimately have left for a guy who's going to be 34 starting this season, coming off, 2 years removed from an Achilles tear?
You hope at least one.
But if it's one, you don't entertain, then nobody should trade.
Well,
for
what
him
if it gets you a championship?
It's not. So that's always the thing. Is it worth it for 1 year and then 10 years of darkness?
Ask the Raptors. I don't know. I think if the Celtics were in a position where they didn't have 2 budding superstars, 25 and up, or not even, right? Tatum's not even 25 yet. Then that's different. The Raptors didn't have that when they went all in for Kawhi for that 1 year. I don't know. I don't know if that's worth it, Bobby, especially when you think about how old these guys are, the contract that they're on, and the fact that your core is all signed. You don't have to worry about them leaving. You have this window, and trading these pieces for Durant would break it. Yeah, with Durant, maybe, right?
No, with Brown.
Well, yeah. I mean, if he were to stay, right, beyond that's the question you have to ask yourself. And also, you have to wonder, if you're the Celtics, is there a way you can do this without involving either one of those guys? Maybe there isn't, but that's something you have to explore. Look, I'm not against Durant to Boston. I'm just not. I'm not for trading one of the Jays right now. I don't know if that's the move.
You're not gonna get him then. There's no alternative path.
There is no alternative, right?
Yeah,
then you build on what you got. You build on what you got. Tatum and Brown, they haven't even reached their prime yet. I mean,
right.
Let's see what happens here. I understand why some Celtics fans are eager right now, but look, 31, 34, this is different, right? This is a few years ago, sure, but if we're talking about someone who wants to latch on and enjoy the ride the way he did with the Warriors, well, that's a different conversation. But I don't see that's not a feasible option right now.
I'm pretty high on this core. Obviously, I love what they did this year. The defense, the starting 5, all the rest. But we were going to talk about today, if this news didn't drop, the limitations on improving this roster, how difficult it would be to acquire somebody who would bring this team to the next level. Because obviously you have to get back to the finals, right, which isn't promised. And then you have to beat the Warriors or whoever the best in the West would be next year. And you saw in the finals this year that the Warriors had, I don't want to say a significant leg up on the Celtics, but definitely a leg up on them, whether it was the experience or the top-end talent in Curry or even the depth that they had there. And all three of those too. Yeah, and all 3 of those are going to be tough to bridge in short order, or will be. I'm not going to say Durant's here yet, but I do like their chances of acquiring Durant here if they put all their chips on the table. And that's the quickest path.
I do want to
path to championship status.
But I want to point this out. I do want to bring this up. For whatever it's worth.
Hold on. By the way, Joe, I just want to put this in there real quick. I'm not one of those guys that's like, oh, Jaylen Brown would 100% resign. It wouldn't shock me if this team doesn't.
That's the other thing we have to talk about.
Doesn't win a championship that he were to leave. So this is a risk. I get that. I'm not going into this naive, like thinking, these guys are, yeah.
But people can't say, what up, Jimmy?
What up, dude?
Hey,
Jimmy, I'll get your thoughts on this quick.
How we doing?
I didn't know you was pulling up tonight. Hey, there he is.
How you's doing? Hey.
Thursday. Who's got one? Who's got one?
Boy, no.
Today.
I don't have time to. I don't have time to bat away drunk Jimmy today. Okay.
Hey, cheers. No, I'm just kidding.
Cheers, John. Cheers me, John. Cheers me,
Hey.
John.
Hey, those
That
were
was
the
after
days.
Game 7.
Hey, those were the days. That was probably the last time we celebrated.
Look, guys, in our
That was
minds,
the
we
last
remember.
Happy Garden report.
No, you
In
were
our-
pumped after Game 1, Jimmy. I remember.
In our minds, we remember how the season ended regarding the Jays, and obviously Jalen actually had a good, finals.
Jalen was great.
Tatum,
Yeah.
of course, struggled. But what I'm saying is, our last memory of Kevin Durant was being shut down and outplayed by Jason Tatum, and being kind of, I mean,
They
and
were
again,
checked out.
outplayed.
They were
Outplayed. He
checked
scored 27 points per game. I mean, he didn't have a bad series, but this is where it all comes down to on this thing with me, with considering trading Jalen for if you're talking 2 years, that's not enough to me. And yes, of course, Jaylen Brown may also leave in 2 years, and I understand that. That's also reality. But like, you can't be all bullish about building around the Jays anytime anybody ever suggests trading one of them, and then be like, wait a second, trade him anyway because he's definitely going to leave in 2 years. Like, do you think he's here or not? So you have to commit to one of the. You got to commit to one of those things.
That's not the reason I'm saying do this. The reason I'm saying do this is because you're getting Durant. I know,
but when people entertain trading him for other things, and everyone's like, don't split up the Jays, that's insane. They're saying it with the understanding or the belief that they're staying here. So when you now all of a sudden Durant bats his eyes at you and you're like, yeah, Brown's probably going to leave anyway. It just seems inconsistent.
Yeah, I mean, that's not my main reasoning. I mean, it's definitely a factor down the line that you would use to, convince yourself to do this, because you are weighing that no matter what you want to think about it. None of us know. The Celtics won't know until that very last minute. We just had this conversation the other day of that window that's, open right now, but could close fast if things go the wrong way with Brown there and his ambitions and what he wants to do in the future. Again, not my top priority here at all. The top priority is bridging that gap with Golden State, with the other contenders who are going to be back, Milwaukee, whoever else joins that mix. I think it's probably just those two teams right now if I had to scan what the league looks like right now. And you are just a tick below them. You get Durant, you keep this core together, I think you're definitely at the top. But how much beyond Brown do you have to give up?
A lot, I think
definitely.
I think you're doing 3 and 2 pick swaps probably. Yep. Like that seems to be the.
They asked for Rob. I don't think that would be unreasonable on Brooklyn's part, because again, Brooklyn has to stay competitive because they don't have picks into the future. They can't bottom out and tank.
Jimmy, where are you at on all of this? It doesn't have to be necessarily the Jaylen Brown thing. At first, we were just talking about kind of all of the factors we thought would kind of potentially derail the Nets, and all of the things that were brought up was Kyrie being a flake and pissing people off, Simmons being too scared to see the court. I did not have Kevin Durant demanding a trade 2 days after Kyrie opted in.
Yeah, who had that? Right?
Who had that one? So anyway, what either your thoughts to that or kind of the whole Brown trade speculation?
First, I want to say that this is classic. As we come close to free agency, the start here, this is classic NBA offseason stuff. This is why people die for the offseason, because you don't get this in any other sport but the NBA. Just the crazy trade demands, the free agency signings, the surprises, the player empowerment on the NBA right now has never been stronger. I'm as confused, I think, as everybody else is. It's very hard to make trade, to put trade proposals out there, because the great unknown is what are these players thinking? Where do they want to play? How long are you gonna get them to commit to you? Right? That's the big thing. We're talking about whether we think Jaylen Brown might want to stay. If you're the Nets, you had no idea that Kevin Durant would demand, a trade. And if he does get traded to Boston, is he gonna like it here, or is Boston just the next team? We've seen it with Kyrie. So it's so hard to figure out if it makes sense for a team to do this. If you want to go just based purely on skill, I still think Kevin Durant is up there. Obviously, that's not a hot take. I think he's still that guy. And I think if you can get him without completely dismantling your team, I think you can make a strong case to get that done, and that isn't to say that the Celtics aren't a contender as built. We know that they are. But do you think that everyone on this team is getting better? Do you think they're currently built in a way that they can compete with a healthy Bucks team or a Heat team that will probably end up with free agent X in a few minutes here, or a team like the Warriors or the Suns? A Suns team that I think a lot of people, were surprised went out the way they did, and then a team like the Memphis Grizzlies, who, if Ja Morant doesn't go down, who knows what happens with them? So
deep
lot
talented
of
team.
good teams out there that if you're not constantly trying to find ways to improve, other teams are. So it would be stupid for any one of us to say this is an easy decision. You trade for Durant, or this is an easy decision. You keep Brown. There's so many like X factors involved. There's so many things that could sway one way or the other. But for me, man, if you get and I know Durant's getting up there, and I'm speaking as a 34-year-old myself.
He's like, do it, Boston.
I can't ball the same way today as I could 4 or 5 years ago. So I get it, but I can still get up and down the court, and I think Kevin Durant can too. So my point is, I think he can still definitely take you from a loser in the NBA Finals to a winner in the NBA Finals. My only concern is, and listen, it sounds like he doesn't want to come to Boston, so maybe we're just wasting time here. Anyways, my only concern would be, is he going to buy into Ime? Is he going to buy into the defense? Is he going to buy in? Does he like the fans? I mean, I don't know any home team that doesn't like the fans.
The fans will love him once you put on the green.
Kevin Durant's a different dude. He seems to like he wants to keep to himself, show up to the court, play basketball, and go home. And I think that's one of the reasons why he thought Brooklyn was going to be a good place to play. He didn't have to be in the Madison Square Garden limelight, but it obviously didn't work out, Kyrie and everything else. So all that to say that it's just kind of a wild time right now. And it's cool that the Celtics are even able to be in the discussion. So many teams would bend over backwards to even have the chance to trade for a guy like Durant. Whether or not he wants to come here is a different story. But are they capable of making a trade to acquire him? Yes, they are.
They might have the best package of all.
Exactly. So good on them for being in that situation, because you just never know when a player of this magnitude is going to become available. It was hard.
And this is the difficult part of the conversation, Jimmy.
I know. I just wish they did it a few years ago. Like, of all of the Jalen trades, you were talking, not him, but Jaylen Brown has been involved as the centerpiece of a deal involving him, maybe another young player, and some picks involving Anthony Davis in his prime, Jimmy Butler.
What does this mean? What does this mean? What does this comment mean? Somebody tell me what this means. Wait, what the hell?
It's definitely about you, isn't it?
Jimmy's that one friend who you hope doesn't text you to hang, but once he does, you have a great night. What the hell does that mean? Who doesn't want me to text them? Second part is absolutely true, 100% true. But
I knew it had something to do
with
it.
It means you're a pleasant surprise, Jimmy.
Unbelievable.
No, it means you're kind of in for the whole Jimmy experience, but it ends up being,
you have to be ready to go out. You have to be ready for the whole night if you invite me.
Well, that could definitely be possible.
Anyway,
here's the thing that's difficult about this conversation, and yeah, you're right, John. This would have been great a couple of years ago, but it's here now, so you have to.
It's the 34 I hate. 34 plus, and if everyone here thinks 2 good years, and then you're starting to decline.
Not 2 good years, 2 championship favorite years.
Come on, says who?
Me.
Who isn't saying it? I mean, John, you can go either way. It's all.
You're saying they're the championship favorites, switching Durant from Brown automatically. There's still a lot of needs here, and especially
when we talk about Brown.
Are they the best team in the East? Yes.
Yeah, and you still have a lot of good supporting pieces there.
It's going to be them, the Bucks, and the Heat again.
Kevin Durant's going to look around and be like, who are these? Who are the rest of these guys?
He would have to give his blessing, meaning he would have to say, okay, yeah, I can win with these guys. So that's already out of the picture. He's not going to come here being like, what did I just do?
I think Tatum. How much does he believe in Tatum?
You have to pitch it to him, right? In a way.
Yeah.
So it's no different than.
Let me ask you this. What would you rather do? Jalen, a buttload of picks, and maybe another player for KD, or Tatum straight up?
I'm not trading.
Tatum straight up. No.
I'm not trading.
Why is that an option?
I'm just playing a game here, hypothetical.
Ask the question. Well, what do you mean a buttload of 3 picks and like 2 picks? Like,
what if you do Jalen?
You have to trade all your picks.
Jalen and all your picks, or Tatum straight up.
I don't like this game.
You do the Jalen one.
Well,
you do the Jalen one. I do the Tatum
one.
You
might as well do the
How did John
one
go from the biggest trade Brown guy to keep Brown?
I'm not. You rewind the tape. What was my bold prediction
John,
for the
you're evaluating
preseason?
for-
I thought
yeah.
Brown was going to overtake
get it.
Tatum.
No, John's worried about the other surrounding.
You're worried about
what do
mortgaging
you
the
call it?
future.
The surrounding guys.
John's worried about
Yeah.
mortgaging the future.
That's what
You-
I'm
you
worried
think
about
the
too,
Celtics-
Joseph.
you think
I'm
the Celtics
worried
could
that
get-
everything goes
You
back.
think
I'm
the Celtics
worried
could
that
get that in the draft?
I'm worried you Brooklyn yourself. KD, I'm worried you
Yeah.
Brooklyn yourself. KD falls
You'll
off a
still have
cliff
Tatum.
or gets hurt, and then he's stuck here on a long deal. Nope, and he becomes useless. And Tatum's like, I'm gone, and that's it. Bye. That's a bunch of lottery picks. Like that's you're Brooklyning yourself. You can't rebuild after that, which means the next competitive Celtics team comes 10 years from now, and that's a risk you take. So that's the downside. Though
Well, you
when
could be great. You could also be great for 5 years and lose. And
you could. I just
three
wish it was a
finals.
younger player. I was more willing to give the pick. I liked picks. I would have given the 3 picks in the TPE for Murray faster than I would give the picks for a 34-year-old Durant, even though I recognize and Brown, because you're giving up a massive asset plus your future.
Guys, are we doing a
Yeah.
countdown to the NBA free agency?
Oh my God. Do you have like streamers?
Also, I just got
Sure.
this. This is an interest. Speaking of the Grizzlies, we just got this one. Jaren Jackson
Oh,
Jr.
Jaren Jackson. Yeah.
That's significant because I do view the Grizzlies
I'm the
as
only
a
one who
Durant
didn't know that.
destination.
I guess I'm the only one. who
No,
didn't know that.
I'd seen that, but I didn't think it was worth.
Yeah,
putting into
I didn't think it was
yeah.
worth mentioning, right? It's
Well,
all right.
we just talked about the Grizzlies, so I figured this is an NBA show today.
I
Jaren
just-
Jackson Jr. underwent.
I just think. Yeah.
Can I get my news out for one damn second?
What about Jaren Jackson?
Thank you.
He's
Underwent a successful procedure yesterday to address a stress fracture in his right foot. He will be sidelined 4 to 6 months. Something to think about. We're talking about, listen, if you're an NBA title contending team, you should be interested in other NBA title contending teams. When one of their best players goes out for 6 months, I think it's worth 10 seconds of news. Carry on.
It's all right, man. We're not giving you a hard time about it. We just want you to just say it. Go ahead.
Carry on, Josue.
Look, how close is this team from winning a championship, right? Oh, how close were they? There were 2
Hey,
wins away.
3, 2, 1.
Oh,
Hey,
Here we
there
go.
it is.
All right. I'm
They're
pulling out
gonna
my
start
Alright,
flooding in the deal.
Teams are officially in business now.
Damn
There we go.
tweets.
Non-tampering deals coming through. Ding, ding,
Yeah,
ding,
yeah.
ding, 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 ding.
No, this
Celtics
Durant thing puts a hold on a lot of stuff.
have
I would
signed-
imagine.
Yeah,
He
but
just got smart with this.
It's always been trying to add around the edges, right? Trying to get those pieces, like trying to bolster the second
But
unit.
what?
Because
what-
that
we were
was
gonna
the
be talking
that was the
about-
difference, wasn't it?
Yeah, but we were going to be talking about if this Durant thing never happened. And I got a lot of crap for tweeting out my big 5 here because they weren't very exciting. Otto Porter, Kyle Anderson.
Oh, wait, do we have it?
Jones,
Ahmed,
and
do we
those
have
were-
that?
These,
Look at this.
Listen-
Look at Jimmy.
listen,
Look at him go.
look at this
Oh,
I would have.
Look at Bobby
the
go.
Celtics, if the
Oh,
Celtics
yeah.
got
There he is.
before
guy.
this Durant rumor, if the Celtics got any one of these guys, we'd be doing backflips down the street. And meanwhile, everyone who follows me was like, "Oh, this is the best we can do." And this
Well,
is
I
gonna
don't
be
know.
expanding your depth.
Outside of Otto Porter and TJ Warren, I'm not crazy about this list, honestly.
Yeah, so this is why the prospect of adding Durant is great. Instead of Bruce Brown being your big hit of the summer, you're getting Kevin Durant.
I don't know.
Um,
One of these guys, whether it's TJ Warren, maybe you trade for someone like Marcus
Marcus Warren's
Morris.
my guy. Everyone knows.
By the way,
boosted your-
Bruce,
boosted your
Bruce
bench
Brown's in
there.
the world.
first
much
deal
more
coming
valuable.
through. Oladipo back with the Heat, 11 million. That's a guy I would have liked in the TPE.
That would have been
11
Bradley
million
Be-
for 1 year.
Bradley Beal
Yes.
does his 5-year, $251 million max contract to stay with the Wizards.
Batum and the Clippers, huh?
Both
Wow.
just came in. So we've got a few.
No
we've got stuff.
Batum. Celtics fans, no Batum.
Is that me? You got to be kidding me.
Is what you?
I just got
Weinstein.
FaceTimed.
No, you're good, bro. We
Weinstein.
can see you. You're good.
John's so mad. John's like, don't you dare
No,
call
we
me
can,
when I'm
we
doing
can
a
hear
show.
you
people.
too.
No, somebody's FaceTiming me.
Malik
I know,
Monk
you're
is
pissed.
signing with the
Stop
with
it.
Sacramento on a 2-year deal approaching 20 million. Okay.
Wow, so
John's
they
like, don't
swiped
you
him
know
from the
I'm doing a
Lakers.
show?
Oh, so Suns extending Devin Booker, so that probably takes him out of play for.
Isaiah Hartenstein is signing a 2-year, $16.7 million deal with the New York Knicks. Excuse me. Knicks.
Oh,
Anyway,
So
has
you
the
may-
Brunson news drop yet?
that's good. That's good news.
Your main
Maybe.
competition for Durant, if you're in on him, Oh, looks like
Whoa,
Beal-
Jaren Jackson's out.
How long? How long? I had to get
You
that in
sold
before.
that.
before
You sold that
free agency.
perfectly. Jimmy was about to flip out.
Did you
Wow.
guys see this?
F
Guys,
you.
this changes everything. This changes everything, guys.
Devin Booker, 4 years, 214 million. Super
Okay, we said that, but yeah, let's.
And the Sixers did their PJ Tucker thing, so they are hard cap now if they're thinking about getting another Durant.
That's right. Oh, it's done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, hold on. Things are.
Beal
happening.
extended at 250 million, and
But
looks
Beal-
like
I
Devin
swear
Booker.
I said that
Did
too.
you say Batum already?
3
You
year,
led- you led
33
with that.
million. PJ got 3 and 33.
Oh
That
my
guy
God.
is stealing money.
I didn't get
Oh
I
my
know.
God. I'll be right back. I got
All right.
Those
I
are
got
the-
stuff. I'll be
PJ
Looks
Tucker.
like a
okay.
Those are the
Simons.
guys.
They got some.
Those are the guys that come up.
Now I don't know.
Celtics couldn't get PJ Tucker, huh?
Not that number. Are you crazy? They
Yeah.
I get why they did it because they want him to guard Durant and Tatum's of the world because they lost their Ben Simmons role guy in that area. But I don't know. Like, don't you have Matisse Thybulle to do that at a fraction of the cost? I don't know what Tucker. He's effectively a zero on offense. That's a terrible signing.
All right. Anthony
For
is
for
it
that
Simon or
amount of
Simon?
money, yeah, it's not great.
4 years, 100 million.
And you hard cap yourself. You really can't do anything now.
Damn. I guess 20 million isn't much anymore, right? Remember when
Well,
KG first made
not-
20 million? Shook
not
the whole
for me.
league up.
So I am interested. I don't know off the top of my head the implications of this Booker extension, but obviously the Nets seem like they're going to be asking for Booker in any Durant deal.
Dude, they were never
Phoenix.
getting. They were never getting Booker.
Well, they might not
Yeah.
get Durant then. Again, I think the Nets have more leverage here than people think. Like Durant, they don't have to
Why do
trade
you think
Durant
that?
anytime soon
Yeah.
because he's on a 4-year deal.
That is true.
So he can either go
He
home.
doesn't want to play for them though.
I know, but you also run into a world in which they can just say to him, "I'm sorry, we don't like the deals," and just kind of force him to play.
Yeah, but John, you really think
I don't-
that's going to fly? Another
Well,
year
what's
of a
better,
string
that
of
or
absolute-
Nothing
adding
about
8 and they're
Durant
going
has
into
ever
oblivion.
showed us he's going to, Jimmy. I don't think anything about Durant, while he might be, insanely sensitive and doesn't like stuff said about him. There's not a thing about his game that's ever said quit. That I've ever. I do not think he's going to take his ball and go home like Harden would. I don't think he's pulling any stupid stunts, faking injuries, or just leaving the team for whatever reason like Kyrie. I think he plays and he doesn't love
He
it.
wants to. Yeah, he wants to win.
If they don't trade him. So I agree with Bobby on that. I do think that leverage
And
matters.
they have to get it right. They can't just
But-
take whatever.
No, they're
It's
not
gotta-
gonna- listen,
It has
my-
to happen sooner than later for it to happen. It's because teams are taking shape, as you said. Contracts
Right.
are being given out. It is harder as time goes on. It has to happen faster. It could drag, and then what happens? Then it gets tricky.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just think they have a lot of options. Like they'll
Yeah, they have a lot of
play- I'm-
options because everyone's going to want him who can trade for him. But that doesn't mean that that doesn't mean that the Suns are interested in trading Devin Booker. He's an
So he
unbelievable.
might not
Devin
end up on the
Booker
Suns. I don't think
had a
he's
better
gonna end
year
up on
than
the
Jason
Suns.
Tatum in a lot of people's minds.
Yeah, the Suns would want to slide 8 in there. Just I don't think Brooklyn's going to want to do a sign and trade and take on a friggin' center for all of that money. They're just not their thing.
And he's a free
Yeah.
agent, so you hard cap yourself. So you're giving up other guys to get Ayton in there. And where does that bring you?
Jeez.
Again, they have
Ayton
to.
and Ben Simmons, imagine.
Yeah, that would be a disaster. They have to set themselves up. I'm not saying to be great, but they need to at least point themselves in the right direction. They actually started to do that today by trading a first for Royce O'Neal. So it's clear that the Nets want to compete after this deal's done. They also have to figure out a home for Kyrie, which I'm sure is going to be fun. So they have a lot that they have to work on here. I agree, John. I think this gets done sooner rather than later.
Man.
But I don't know.
Another one.
Everyone, Vegas coming through today and saying that the Suns are favorites and that's inevitable. I don't see it. They actually have to put a package together, and maybe it's Bridges, maybe it's not Booker. That might still be you could probably actually debate whether you'd rather have Bridges or Brown right now, based off how good Bridges
Yep.
is getting that
We're
fast.
just-
But
yeah,
and-
Bobby
Tucker's
Portis, 4
Tucker's
years.
3 years, 33.2.
Yeah.
I thought
Yeah.
you guys said
Yeah,
a
we saw
completely different number. I
Bobby
know, but I thought it
Portis.
was like, never mind. I thought you guys said way more than that. That's why I was like, that's ridiculous. All right.
Bobby Portis, 4 years, 49
Yeah.
million.
That's good.
with a player option for
It's good. It's a good deal for him.
year 4.
He earned it. He took short money last year. Go back.
Malik Monk, 2-year deal, $19 million with the Sacramento Kings.
Josue, you're old, and I already said that one. Keep
You
up.
did?
Keep up, bro.
The Beal money's crazy.
Aaron Jackson out 4 to 6 months.
That shit's not gonna get old for me.
No, that's gonna be a new one, isn't it?
We might be saying that in December.
Is that gonna be a T-shirt?
No, when he comes back from injury, we're gonna be like, guys, Jared Jackson's you're not gonna believe this, but Jared Jackson's gonna come back next week.
As far as the Celtics are concerned, and like this is, let's get used to this. Free agency opens and the Celtics are sitting here, and every other team is, doing crazy stuff. And in some cases, there's some teams are imploding, but deals are going to be signed. People are going to go places. You're going to be like, oh, he wouldn't have been bad. But again, I think they're
not
doing
really this year, huh?
I think they're going to do the Schroeder thing, and you just wait and you look around and say who's left. And then you might have your choice of like 5, 6, 7 potential MLE guys.
Oh, Lord help us if we go from Durant to Gallinari.
That's where you are. Let's be serious, okay?
That's where they are, though.
That's the reality here. But there was one thing that was suggested today, which I think would be quite a heist, to borrow Bobby's term here. Thrown out there, Kevin Herter as a potential trade. Now that Murray's go over there in Atlanta, Herter could be a little bit of an odd man out scenario. He's coming off of a not so great year. Guy we mentioned as a possible trade target if the Celtics were looking to move smart and wanted to get a little bit more shooting. This is nothing but a theory. So it's not, like rumors Celtics are targeting.
No report.
But this makes a shit ton of sense though, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. It does. Defensively, obviously in terms of shooting, a guy could catch a shoe, hide behind screens. I like it. I think that would be a steal, especially because it's a low risk, high reward type situation that I think is ideal for Boston right now.
Yeah.
He might be the most well-rounded shooter available. Josue mentions underrated defense. John, you said that earlier when we were kicking him around.
Yeah.
A little bit of playmaking chops for himself, not for others, but he can create a little bit off the dribble there too. He's been an awesome player for a little while here with Atlanta, under the radar.
He's the right type of player. He's not anything but what he is, and I think he does what he's supposed to do well. And I think it gives Boston a lot of what they're looking for. If this guy, and again, I think Celtics' best avenue to improving is kind of grabbing other people's scraps, teams who have decided that things have gotten too expensive for them or need to move pieces out. You got to be there to catch those crumbs as they fall. So if a player of this caliber, shakes free simply because Atlanta's like looking to move off some salary, wants to re-sign, thinks they have a log jam somewhere else, and you could do TPE and a pick for a player like this, throw in a Neesmith maybe and let them take a flyer and see if they can resurrect his career. Great, do it. Have fun. I'd be all in on something like this. But again, I don't know how you make it happen, how much the Hawks value him, and whether or not Celtics would even be interested. But this is the type of player I'd love to see them get with a TPE.
Who?
Jaren Jackson.
Kevin Herter.
14.5 million. So
yep, you'll go into the tax, but I think that's as good a use as you're gonna look. I got you were saving the TPE like if you were going to try to take a swing at a player like Murray, if you wanted to do TPE plus the picks. Once that ship sails, that thing's going nowhere. You're not.
What's in it for Atlanta though?
Huh?
What's in it for Atlanta?
I don't know. They might
want a pick or two.
You get picks back because you just lost a bunch.
Yeah.
You might. Yeah, you have a player who's going to be playing less, who's making a pretty good chunk of change on your team. Now it's a role player. Whereas the Celtics, if you go single big next year, Herter's starting at the 2, and you're going with Jalen and Jason more likely than not. So would fit right in here. And if you did go double big, it's obviously a great player to bring in off the bench who'd be able to score for you. But that could be potentially, and I don't know whether or not they would want to. I mean, but recouping a draft pick or 2 somewhere along the way wouldn't be the worst thing for them.
No, definitely not. And you shed all that salary immediately if you don't like the deal you signed. I know he signed through 2025, I believe.
That's the thing. You've kind of got him on the hook, right?
Yeah, so that would be the incentive for Atlanta, and you could sweeten it somehow. if I'm them, I'm probably asking for Grant. Get a cost control guy at that
Goodbye.
spot. He might do a little something. And
Sorry.
yeah, I think you probably
Damn,
do
John.
that. But yeah, this is a really ideal piece for what the Celtics need, which I think.
Tyus Jones back to Memphis.
Ooh,
That was
off the big board.
predictable, but that's a big
Sorry,
one.
Bobby.
Sorry, Bobby. That was never happening anyway, but yeah.
Well, they did pick up a few guys who projected to fill in for him. Now, what did he make?
Who?
What was the contract?
I don't. I'm looking for the money.
Yeah. All right. So I didn't think $6 million was enough for him. Realistically, I think
So-
$6 million gets you Otto Porter.
No, it doesn't. I don't even think it gets you that. Golden State will find a way. Golden State's not going to let him go, even though they're worried about the tax bill for $6 million. He's comfortable there. They want a title. He's gonna. I'd be stunned if
We'll see.
he's not coming. He's not coming here for 6 versus there for 6. If anything, he's going to get a multi-year, for closer to $10 million.
Well, Kyle Anderson too. You wonder if this frees him up a little bit. Them signing Jones, because I don't think Memphis has limitless finances. So
let me ask you guys, since we don't believe that the Celtics are going to make any splashes right now,
I do.
Right out of the gate, what is it that we need fans to be?
You do,
We need
Bobby?
them to be patient, and we need them to remain
Calm.
Don't tell me.
okay.
Yeah.
You have to remain calm. Yeah. This isn't going to happen all at once, so we want everyone to stay calm. And if you haven't already,
as Jimmy chugs his beer.
yeah. Cheers,
Calm and
John.
all. Cheers, guys. It's a
Cheers, kid.
freaking no free ads, but it is a seltzer water. As you can see.
Yeah.
The seltzer.
So
Celtic
again, for those of you who don't know about Calm, shame on you, honestly, if you've been with us this long. And
I would
you
hate to
don't
be
know
in the
about it.
brain that doesn't know about calm. I would hate to be in that brain.
The
Ingles to the Bucks.
addled mind of the person who is calm ignorant right now. I cannot imagine it. But again, we've all tried it. We all love it. I know some people are like, whatever, I'm fine. I don't want to get into it. Meditation, things like that. It's intimidating. You don't know how to get started with it. But honestly, if you haven't, you should at least give it a try. We've partnered with Calm. It's the #1 mental wellness app out there right now. It gives you the tools to improve the way you feel, reduce stress and anxiety through guided meditations, improve focus with curated music tracks, rest and recharge with Calm's imaginative sleep stories for children and adults. You've got all those funny noises that Jimmy loves. Rainforest. I'm surprised he hasn't played it yet, but yeah.
You wanted it? I thought you hated when I did that.
It's the nature sounds. all
No,
that
we
stuff.
love when you show your phone too. It's great. It's good content.
Here we go, guys. This is what the Calm app looks like, too. This is the main page. What do we got here? Daily Calm meditation. See, if I wanted to do some meditation when I get home from work or something, boom.
Yeah,
That's what
If
Joe
I
Sway
wanted-
likes. He does the daily Calm.
So again,
Daily
we
Calm,
use
that's
it.
my shit.
When I forget
Wisdom.
to, when I forget to use it, I actually I pay for it. I know it. The next day, I'm like, I didn't do my Calm tonight. So trust me, it's worth it. Calm.com/garden.
We know it, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shut up, Bobby.
John's text.
I didn't want to
even
say
more
anything, but Jimmy. Well, yeah, one time Jimmy texted me solo, just like, I don't think John did his Calm today. I don't know. He's a little grumpy today.
Way more typos in it. I know he's just screaming like
Voice
spitting
Wow.
all over his phone.
The phone can't
Yeah.
keep up.
Hold on,
Right.
Bobby. Don't break the news until I give him the promo code. Calm.com/garden.
got?
You got to go there. Check it out, please. At least log into the website. See if you see what you like here. Like what you see, rather. Calm.com/garden. Receive 40% off a premium subscription. That offer is still good. It won't be good for much longer. So again, go check it out. Jimmy, what do you got?
What news? I don't have any good news.
He said,
Bobby's
"Wow."
got it.
Unless
I
you're
had,
talking about Amir
Jaron
Coffey,
Jackson.
3
Yeah.
years
Is
No,
ago.
Bruce Brown signed already?
The
The
Clippers.
Jones number was 30 million, so the Celtics definitely couldn't touch that.
Over how much?
3 years, so 10 million a year.
It's a great deal for a player like that. But you just don't have that flexibility. So
Yeah,
Wait a minute. So are the Clippers out of a center right now? Is that what you're telling me?
yeah,
Because
right now.
Rothstein signed with the
Yep.
Knicks.
Joe Sway mentioned Joe Ingles to the Bucks. That's one to keep an eye on.
did the Brunson
Yeah,
deal
the
just go
Bucks-
down?
The Bucks are
Yeah, it did.
stacking up. Yeah,
Brunson
that's
deal did go
official.
down. Yes.
Yeah, that's a good point, Jimmy, because the Bucks they're doing what they can in adding pieces that make sense for them. And man, Joe Ingles, They're bringing back Wesley Matthews. You know, you got the shooting there. You got the defense and PJ Tucker. I mean, these guys are trying to come back with the force for the Celtics. I mean, that has to be your ideal team in terms of how you're going to measure up against the Celtics. And this isn't a bad way to start, right? I think the Bucks are on one right now. But no, my point about
Mo Bamba, someone was mentioned
Clippers,
as a backup big here. Also, he's off the table. Keep going, Josue.
Yeah. My point with the Clippers not having a center right now is what I alluded to in our conversation earlier today, right? Which was about how the Clippers have so many wings. They have, guys like I mentioned old friend Marcus Morris, who I think would be great if he were to come back for the Celtics team. But they also have other wings, Batum and guys. They can't keep them all. So I think that would be a potential trade partner for the Celtics if they're able to work out a deal for the TPE. How do you guys feel about that? You guys know how I feel about Marcus Morris and a deal involving, I don't know, potential, not for MLE, except not for the trade exception, but rather just a trade straight up. And for the fact that they don't have a center, is Daniel Tice more valuable for a team like the Clippers right now? Would you put him in a deal surrounded with guys like Neesmith and maybe a future first? Would you do something like that for Marcus Morris? Or if not, do any of those wing players, does any of those guys you think would be a good fit for the Celtics that coming from the Clippers?
Only after Brown for Durant. Once that's done, you can add Morris to the mix. I don't know. Does the Brown Morris thing work? We know how that went.
The Brown Morris thing? Yeah, come on. That's water over the bridge by now. I mean, it has to be. Jalen under, excuse me. Jalen was a second-year player, and I think both of them have matured in a lot of different ways,
I can believe that.
Between Morris
I don't know how
and Jalen,
Morris,
I think they both matured in a big way.
I don't know how Morris has advanced. So I know he had knee issues here that have only gotten worse in LA in terms of his availability, which isn't great. I didn't love his style. I like what he gave the Celtics back then because they needed someone to just go back and put the ball in the net. But he's not a great passer. When he gets that ball, he's shooting it. Yeah, I don't know if
but you need someone like that off the bench, man. Someone who's not afraid to take those shots. But it's also
wasn't that Schroeder?
He wasn't a bonehead with it. See, Schroeder falls on that category, right? Not to call him a straight up bonehead, but he sort of was in his own world and he was trying to earn a contract. Marcus Morris isn't in that space anymore. He used to be.
Not on my watch.
When he was in Boston, he used to be, but he got his paycheck, he got his payday, by the Knicks.
I'll tell you this.
Went over to LA. He's in a different state of mind right now. He knows that he can compete for a championship with the Celtics, and he would take on that 6-man role 100%.
Did you just say Marcus Morris was a bonehead when he was with the Celtics? I'm sending that clip to him.
No, I'm saying that's not the kind of player he is. That's what Bobby's trying to say, that he's a bonehead.
Oh, that's what Bobby was saying it.
I don't think he's the kind of guy that's going to check in and have his own agenda. Like, he's going to check into the game, and yeah, he's going to take shots. He's going to play defense. He's going to guard multiple positions. I don't think he's going to be an improved passer. Bob, I guess you have a point there, but I think he gives the Celtics team what they need, which is instant offense off the bench, controlled offense, so to speak, right? I don't think he'll go crazy with it. And a guy who can defend multiple positions on the opposite end.
Yeah,
Lou Dort.
Yep.
I don't hate it.
$7 million, huh?
What?
Lou Dort, $87 million, 5 years.
Yeah, who knew? Lou Dort. Lou Dort of all people.
He can ball. He's not bad.
He would probably make more money if his name wasn't Lou Dort. He'd probably be a $100 million guy. It's the name sometimes. Dort.
Yeah.
He's awesome.
Yeah, I'm sure his agent tells him that all the time.
I was stunned if they were gonna. There was a rumor that they were gonna flip him for the 7th pick. I was like, what are they doing? But they end up keeping him, which is good. Lakers landing Damian Jones is funny after all their photoshops of Banchero for 7 years from now, and I think someone was kicking around the idea that they could get Durant and Irving, which seems far-fetched. And they were kicking around Irving, of course, all week as well before he opted into his deal. So instead, Damian Jones to the Lakers.
You think there's a chance of that happening, Bobby? You think that they could actually pull off a trade with both of those guys? Like, some organization would be like, "Come on down, guys. I
don't think so.
You need." Yeah.
So I know John probably doesn't want us to circle back to Durant, but again, like, what's more enticing than this story right now? I saw when I forget who was talking about it, but on ESPN, I think it was Woj saying that they could be a package deal, right? And the perception there would be that Durant wants to leave Brooklyn because they didn't pay Kyrie, and he actually wants to keep playing with Kyrie, which I guess I wouldn't rule out entirely because he's been committed to Kyrie this whole time, but that seems strange to me. If you want
That
to
makes
keep playing with
no
Kyrie, yeah, wouldn't you
No.
just keep doing it in Brooklyn?
You
There's just-
you
there's
would just
just-
play
it's like
with
a-
Kyrie.
it's like a-
You're literally able
It's a
to.
PR.
Man.
It's a PR thing. They're both
I don't
just not
believe
trying
that
to
at all.
Make one another look terrible, but
In-
this thing is done. This thing
In
is done.
today's NBA, you have to, like the whole saying, live for today, cannot apply to the NBA. Because guys can choose to come and go whenever the hell they want. If you're Kevin Durant and you want to play with Kyrie Irving, guess what? Kyrie Irving's
I'll be right
on your
back, guys.
team. All you have to do is just play
Lunch
with
break
him.
for Josue and
Lunch
John.
break. John's on a bathroom break, I think. But listen, I think that's a ridiculous like.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
what
That's
theory?
ESPN carrying water.
We'll
Which
call it a theory
again, we
here,
can
but-
talk. We could do a whole podcast about how the media has gone in that direction. Sports media, It's just like everything's got to have a tagline of like this guy has this many All-Star games. This
Yeah.
guy did that. I saw something Kyrie in one of Sham's reports about Kyrie last week. He noted that he brought the Nets to the second round last year. Like that was an accomplishment.
Yeah, like good
Rather-
on him. Just what they brought
Yeah,
him
and
for.
now these guys are a package deal, which I'm sure is not going to be the case. Kyrie, though, where do you see him ending up? Because he was just in free agency. Any team had the opportunity to sign and trade for him, which I know is a bit more onerous of a process, but didn't seem like there was big interest in Kyrie around the league. And now the Nets feasibly have to move him at a pretty high number, $36 million.
It's the thing no one's talking about yet. Everyone's still processing the KD news. No one's really even thought about what it means for Kyrie. Do we think Kyrie knew this was happening though? Do we think that him and Durant are I mean they're supposed to be really tight.
The word was they haven't talked.
It just seems like if you're that tight with a player and you want to play with this guy still, I would imagine they're on the same page. If not, then there's no way they want to play together at some other team anyway. So that whole theory is just bogus. Now, you're right with the Kyrie situation. I mean, like you said, do you say like normal people keep the world going, but like special people like do something, blah, blah, blah. I don't know what this guy's thinking. I have no idea. You're right. What teams are interested in him? Does his price drop a little bit? Because now does it seem like if that's the problem, Bobby, is if they trade Durant, that probably lowers the value of Kyrie in a way, because now teams are going to think that they're going to have to unload Kyrie. Like Kyrie's going to want to go. They're not going to be able to win with just Kyrie, depending on who they get in return. I just have a hard time believing that they're going to put all their eggs behind a Kyrie Irving-led team. You know, assuming they don't get somebody. If they go the picks route, they're not going to get somebody as good back for Durant.
No, I would build around Simmons. And I know this is going to sound funny coming from me.
Oh my God. Did you just hear that, John? Did you just hear what Bobby said? Say it again.
This is a great opportunity to build around him, reestablish
around who?
his Ben Simmons.
Bobby, take that back. Take that back.
John, Bobby Manning just said that the Nets should build around Ben Simmons. The same guy who said that he wasn't sure Ben Simmons would ever play a game again in the NBA. And if he did, he might just be a career loser. John, you're muted. Probably for the best.
I heard it, and I you know.
Bobby, you would get an apology, Cam, if you even repeat that, because you've been so anti-Simmons. For you to then turn around and do a 180 and say not only should they keep
No, it's
Simmons,
the
they should build
circumstances.
around him. What are they
Honestly,
gonna build?
that's the biggest in a career of some astonishing flip flops. That's the biggest
Flip-flopping?
one.
That takes the cake.
That
Well,
one is like Olympics. You know,
The circumstances have
Gold medal
changed.
flip-flop. That is a gold medal flip-flop of all flip-flops.
They're
People
going to
are
get
throwing up. I feel bad for people's laptops. They're throwing up right now on their laptops after the flip-flop that you just sent everybody.
Do they have any other choice? I mean, I could see it going well if they put the right pieces around him, just because he's going to be.
I don't know if I can
essential
listen to
piece.
anything you say from here on out. I just
You know,
don't even know what to do.
just when
I don't know who you are.
surprised me, just when you surprised me with the whole trading Jaylen Brown for Kevin Durant, because I feel like 6 months ago you would have been so against that, or at least 3 or 4 months ago with this team.
Well,
did
let's
the
say
turnaround.
Let's say this is. Let's say
yeah,
this is the-
yesterday, 24 hours ago, you'd be like, absolutely not.
let's say
And
this
then
is the new.
He asked for a trade, and everything changes.
Let's say the new Nets are Ben Simmons, Jaylen Brown, Rob. You want to throw
What?
Rob in there? And
Ben Simmons and
No,
Jaylen Brown
I don't
hate each
want
other.
to do that.
no, I'm saying
no.
from
Are
the
you
Nets
are
perspective.
you
I'm
working
saying-
for the Nets?
I'm saying from
Yeah,
yes,
'cause-
I'm taking the Nets
Yeah, but-
perspective right now.
Okay, but here's the thing, though, Bobby. If you're the Celtics, you have the leverage. Because if not, if he doesn't
I'm
want,
not
you can just
talking
say,
about the Celtics. I'm talking about the Nets. If they
yeah.
get
But
their
you're
maximum,
talking about pieces coming from the Celtics. I'm assuming you're talking about Durant being traded for those pieces, like
that's the
Robert
best.
Williams and
Yeah,
Jaylen
that's
Brown.
the best possible return you could imagine for Durant, probably. If you end up with that kind of return, say you flip Kyrie, the best return possible for him is, I don't know, Tyler Hero. All of a sudden, you're looking at Brown, Hero, Rob, Simmons. That's not a bad core to build around Simmons. And Brown, of course, as well in that conversation. But Simmons would have the ball in his hands. You'd have a lot of shooters around him. You'd be playing with great pace. You'd probably be a better defensive team than the Nets were in the past. Steve Nash probably isn't coaching the Nets at this point. I don't think they're in a terrible spot after all this happens. In fact, if you were the Nets and you were heading in the next year with this Kyrie, Durant, Nash, Simmons drama up in the air, you knew that this was going to end inevitably at some point. So it's better that they found out now. They're going to get a ton for these guys. And I actually think the Nets could end up in a decent spot after this. I'm not going to say they'll be a better team, but they might be a more stable, normal basketball team. And that's crazy to say about Simmons, but this is the kind of opportunity he's needed.
Wah, wah.
Mm.
Is it on the
Anyway.
board? Is the take
sounds
on
like
the
a re-
board?
It sounds like a rebuild that'll never end.
Horrible take. Next.
All right. We'll revisit
Hi,
it.
Steve.
The Nets
Steve
could
Harvey.
potentially be in a better spot this
If I was
time
Steve
next
Harvey,
year.
I would have that stunned look on my face, like,
Yeah.
did you
Oh,
really
no,
just
no.
answer that?
When they already have 2 strikes, you start making your way over to the other side. Like,
Yeah.
How could it get any
All right.
worse?
Is
How could
Ben
it get any
Simmons
worse than
on
it
the
was last
board?
year?
I'm gonna walk this way. Yeah. Survey says.
Yeah. And to the
Anyway,
Zannis
we'll flip it.
family.
We'll flip it back to the Celtics because that's what everyone cares about. If you had to
Yeah, we better.
predict, I know we've all given our feelings about would we do this. Do you think the Celtics will seriously inquire on Kevin Durant?
Yes. Of course they will.
They have to.
You think so, Josue?
Of course they
Yeah.
will.
They have to. They wouldn't be doing their job if they did.
Yeah, Brad
wouldn't be doing
Stevens
his
would
job
be
if he did.
fired if he didn't.
But I will say
Due
this:
diligence.
I don't understand. I don't understand how it has to be Durant and a buttload of picks. I'm sorry, 34-year-old who has demanded a trade.
You think anyone's going to be saying, "Yeah, I want Durant," but hold
You
on
just
on
said
that.
he has
There's
What
gonna
I'm
be
saying-
so much
leverage.
demand.
I don't believe that. Like that makes no sense to me. That you have to trade a Booker or a Brown caliber player who is, either perennial all-star, or in Booker's case this year an all-NBA player, plus every draft
You
pick
don't.
going into the future for
Well,
a
I think-
34-year-old.
You
I
wouldn't.
think that's insane to me.
Yeah,
wouldn't.
no, I agree with you.
You
I
wouldn't.
agree with you, John, because I think every organization has their own, obviously, what their own picture of where they stand in terms of competing. And if you're the Phoenix Suns, you have to weigh out, okay, which one is worth it. If we're giving out all this talent, do we even have enough to compete for a championship? If I'm trading away Booker and getting Durant in return, are we still? Does that make Chris Paul younger? You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of different scenarios there, a lot of factors. But if you're the Celtics, I'm looking at it as Durant needs us more than we need him, right? I mean, Durant is the one that has to, like, the Celtics are the ones that were 2 wins away without Kevin Durant, and Durant is the one that's trying to latch on for the next couple of years to an organization that can put him in position to win for a title. So, look, if you're the Celtics, I'm not jumping the gun and saying, okay, here's all these picks and here's our budding superstar. We'll keep one, but you can have the other one. I'm with you, John. I don't think you do that right away because you have to consider how big is this window to compete and how much are we going to give up? Rob Williams and Jaylen, all of a sudden your defense isn't quite where it was last season. All of a sudden you wonder if okay, maybe on paper you're better than most teams in the Eastern Conference, but you still have to play this thing out. So I don't know. I don't think it's a surefire thing that if you put those 2 big pieces into a trade for Kevin Durant, that you're all of a sudden above every single team in the Eastern Conference and a favorite to go to the NBA Finals. Or at least I'm not sure that that's the way it's going to play out 100%. You might be better off just keeping the core the way it is and adding pieces that are going to complement the bench and elevate the depth of the roster.
Again, I don't get it fully. I know this is arguably one of the best players who's ever been available for trade. Because you just don't trade top 10 players of all time, top 15 players. So I get why teams are lining up. If I had to bet, I will say that the team that makes the deal will have an extremely narrow window and will end up wondering whether they made the right call. That's kind of where I'm at with it. That's where I'm at with it.
Would they ever do it to a rebuilding team?
No. I just, here's the thing. If Durant ultimately can dictate where he goes, what you could always do is like that team that knows I'll never sign one of these guys on my own. So I'll give you everything, and again, I'll take Sacramento as an example.
Toronto.
Where, or a Toronto, but Sacramento, where they're like, sure, I'll give you all my young players and picks, whatever. I just want a star. Like, no one's ever signing there. But does Durant be like, yeah, no, not going there? How much say does he have now that he has, we say players have all the power. Look, he signed this long-term deal and now he's asked out with 4 years left on it. How much power do they have? Does his power end at saying, I want to trade? And then they're like, fine, but we're sending you wherever we want to. You can pick some spots, but ultimately I'm getting my return. So then you can go or not go. I'll tell you what the trade is. And if you don't want to do it, then shut up and play. Is that in play? What if Miami package is brutal? And what if the Phoenix package is brutal?
That's what I'm saying.
Durant has no choice but to pull a Harden and just basically take his ball and go home. And I don't see him doing that. So they may present him with an option and say the best thing on the table right now is Indiana or Sacramento or Toronto. And I don't know beyond that, Scotty Barnes and some picks and blah, blah, blah. That's the best, and does he say, I'm all set then? And I'll just stay in Brooklyn and see what happens?
The hard part to gauge is what the Kyrie intersection is here. Is he desperately trying to get away from Kyrie? You've seen that we kicked around when you were out, John, the notion that they still want to be together.
I don't believe that for 1 second. I believe Durant.
They're trying to make each other look good.
I believe Durant recognizes the Kyrie situation is volatile and potentially toxic, and it's short term. And Kyrie basically tried to get out and ditch him already, as you guys said earlier, is on a 1-year prove-it deal and realistically probably not going to re-sign with the Nets after next season. And KD wants nothing to do with it. But publicly, he doesn't want to trash a guy who he was friendly with, before he realized he was full on crazy. So he's just saying, sure, yeah, it would be awesome. Yeah, it would be awesome if we played together, but and also recognizing it's impossible. What team is trading for two guys and taking $80 million of salary on? It's not happening. So KD can say stuff like that with impunity because there's no chance of it actually coming to fruition.
To be fair, John, if there's no, here we go with the S, right? If there's no COVID, I don't know. Maybe things would have been better in Brooklyn, but that was really.
I disagree. Would have been something else. Yeah.
What do you mean, Bobby?
You think this just fell apart because you think this just fell? Again, this is what I hate about the Nets story and the way it's going to be written.
If Kyrie was
it's the foot on the line.
They would have been in that seat. No. Screw that. I'm
just saying.
I don't. Yeah.
I'm just saying, if the law wasn't there, it wouldn't have fallen apart for Kyrie. There would have been some other reason he didn't show up. I mean, he took multiple hiatuses the year before, so his availability has been an issue beyond.
When is he not showing up? When is he not showing up? When it's not health related?
The personal leave he took in 21. It was over the Capitol riot, wasn't it? And
then he was at a birthday party. Everything was after COVID. He didn't even want the NBA to go to the bubble.
Let me ask this.
Things just got weirder.
He was at the birthday party, Jimmy.
With Kyrie after COVID.
Let me ask this to you guys. For the people out there who are theorizing, and as you said, that KD is not ditching Kyrie. He's in fact so mad that they didn't give him a max deal that's why he's asking out. Hold on. There's a massive flaw in that logic. Kyrie, in a year, he can, if he plays well, that's still an option a year from now. And so is requesting a trade. So if ultimately he wants to be with Kyrie, He could still make that happen by staying. There's no
So that's
way
what I'm saying.
There's no way that's a plausible scenario. I don't understand why people are saying it. They could wait a year and do the same exact thing. All right, Kyrie.
So my point is, John,
prove it and they'll give you the money. And let's stay together here. It'll be awesome. No, he doesn't want that. He doesn't want to be around Kyrie. It's a silly theory.
Yeah, so he's going to be gone sooner rather than later because they can't wait it out and bring him back and make him play out some time here because they have to figure out what they're doing with Kyrie, which is going to be a much longer, tougher process, I'm sure, because I don't think they're suitors for Kyrie right now. There's going to be 29 teams trying to get Durant, and then if they eventually lose that race, maybe they'll think about Kyrie. But Kyrie was just potentially going to be a free agent, and it didn't seem like anyone wanted to take the steps.
No market. Yeah, there was no market.
So are they stuck with Kyrie now for this year is maybe the real question. Who knows?
Yeah, who knows? Celtics, again, as we said, we don't expect anything.
Do something.
Come on. Again,
Gotta wait for Durant.
It's not waiting for Durant. It's waiting for the rest of the market. They're waiting to see what scraps are left over. When you've got a $6.2 million mid-level exception, no one's accepting that in hour one of free agency, okay? They're all waiting to see if they get better deals. So again, anybody,
that's a good point.
The Celtics are getting guys who couldn't get the PJ Tucker deal or couldn't get the Portis deal. Like those guys, they're signing multi-year deals with teams that have some space. So the Celtics are not screwed. You see how many pieces are left. They, in fact, may have their pick of the litter if there's 3, 4, 5, 6 guys left on that list that don't sign.
What about Dennis Schroeder?
I'd welcome him back with open arms.
No, he wouldn't.
Joe Sway's head would explode, as would Sherrod's head if he was here.
Just for the Twitter debates.
Man.
Yeah, I think you'd have a lot of
Turn it
fans
into a
jumping off
playoff
the
What's
bandwagon.
his market looking like right now?
He's on the wait and see market right now.
He's waiting for he's getting another taxpayer MLE. There's no question.
I don't know if he'll even get that.
Drop that bag again.
Yeah.
He could stay in Houston. Why not? They
It
seem
was
to
all
like
good
him
just
there.
a year ago.
That way, there was a
I'm
lot of
scrolling
good
Twitter.
market
I don't
coming
see
here.
anything new. It's quiet right now. The storm has passed from like all the illegal tampering that was going on. All those deals have now been announced, and now we're waiting for new deals to fall.
Yeah, talking about Anthony Simmons right now.
I feel like John right
Simon.
now. Just I'm stunned in the comments. People are just saying, "Nope, don't want Durant. Too old. We're fine with."
It's not too old.
Well,
People are
it
scared.
goes.
People are scared
Just
of change,
completely
Scared
dismissing
of
the potential to add one of the greatest players ever who's still close to the peak of his powers. It's
And you know
unreal
what?
to me. You won't even
It
consider it?
It just goes against everything that this organization has built itself up in the last 6 months, right? It's not about.
Oh, okay.
a
You
6
have
months.
already-
You act like that's 6 decades.
Guys,
Well, look,
you built
this is
up
the team.
Jalen Brown to this point.
Yeah,
You
you
spent
guys were. Well, maybe
Exactly,
not
John.
Bobby,
You built them up to
talking
the
about
point where you can now
the most
trade him
dynamic duo. You know, like
You
so
do
what-
that in
and
year
you think-
3 of
you think they
Jalen
topped
Brown.
out? I don't
Not
think these
after
guys
year
topped
6
out.
as he's entering his prime. And again,
Yeah.
you're talking about
John.
again. If Durant dips even a little, which is expected at his age, and Brown gets even a little better, they're close to the same tier. And you've got 10 more years of Brown versus Durant. It's insane to me that people are so willing to
And
toss
you
him
know
in.
what? You're not going to get Brown for the next 10 years because that's not what happens in today's NBA. So don't project
He's
10
probably-
years down the
he's
road.
probably
The
not
reason
gonna
it
be,
happens
but
is
still.
because the money. When Jalen Brown can sign here for a supermax at $50 million per, or leave it on the table and go somewhere else, that money talks. I mean, it incentivizes you to
Depends
stay
what
with
he
the
wants.
team. You know,
Bird
It
right.
does
Yeah.
incentivize you. And then what happens, John? They ask for a trade a year later or 2
That's
years
the
later.
real.
but that's
didn't
with
even
and-
mention
and-
that.
then
That's
Jimmy,
the
as-
loophole.
then
That's
don't
the
Jimmy,
then
loophole
don't
in the system.
then
As
don't
you're
develop
saying
any
that,
stars. Get a
I'm
bunch
thinking
of
of
Marcus
Kanye right
Smarts and throw them out there and hope that you're fine. If you have any
does
stars
that
on
I'd
your
love
team,
that. 5
What
stars.
the hell does that mean? They developed him, and now they have the opportunity. I'm not
that
saying
can
he easily
happen
do
with
it.
any star. Anthony Davis was developed. James Harden, obviously, he wasn't in Houston his whole life, but when he got there, he was their guy until he didn't want to be their guy anymore. Any star when he recognizes I look around and I don't like it anymore, can leave. That includes homegrown stars. So there's no that can happen to Tatum at any time. I mean, that's an uncertainty you live with anytime you have star caliber players. As soon as they get past a certain point and they got that 7 years where you control them, where you have their restricted rights and then their rookie
then what
deal.
Are you saying? You're contradicting
in year
yourself.
8 and on, they determine what they do. That's just the reality of the NBA.
Right, and that's going to be the reality of Celtics players too. So why are you projecting the next 10 years Jaylen Brown in a Celtics jersey when you
because anybody you trade for can also in a year say I don't like it here anymore.
Right.
That's
and
just
anybody you don't trade for can.
So
also
I'll roll the dice on the asset that's younger.
You want the better player if it's straight up, and it's Durant.
I'll roll the dice on the asset that's younger and has more time and potentially could give you 10 years of service versus a guy that everybody in this chat who wants says, I'm looking at 2 good years here. Then you better win a title. The Nets also.
Could be 4. You got him for 4 years.
I don't know.
Listen, do we think Kevin Durant is going to continue to, go in this direction, go upwards in his play? No, but he's still at such a high point where even if he did, diminish talent a little bit here, a little bit there, he's still an all-star level player for the next 4 years.
It's a 34-year-old guy with a major injury on his resume who missed 40 games last year as well with an injury. I don't know how we're just assuming 4
Brown
good years.
has injury concerns too.
It's not perfect, but he's
Brown's
also
had
25.
a lot of it.
Yeah.
You can connect the dots with Brown's injuries.
Here's my take.
Brown.
Would I do Brown and all of the first, of course? Yes. If you have to throw in Rob, I would think long and hard about it because I think that's a lot of your core and your depth there. That wouldn't be as easy. If they're asking for more, which they potentially could be, let's say it's Rob, Smart, Brown pick, then it's no. But if it's Brown and picks,
I'm not looking.
that's such a massive upgrade. Do you want a straight shot at a championship?
Bobby, I gotta say, again, when Kevin Durant's not on the table, every Celtics fan tells me they're the favorites in the East and absolutely title contenders, and they were in the finals. Hold on, wait a second. No, come on, seriously. When I suggest moving things or shaking things up because I don't love the roster, everyone's
6 months ago.
Everyone's like, even a week ago, 2 weeks ago, everyone's like, you're crazy. This team was right on the cusp of the finals. They're all getting better. All they need is a veteran, and they're going back. And now you can't possibly win with this core unless you get Kevin Durant. Pick a lane. You got to pick one.
You pick
especially
when
you
both.
Especially when you were 2 wins away. Like if this team didn't make the finals, if this team was so far behind, then you would entertain the idea more because you would think maybe this core is just not going to work. Maybe they're not as talented, or we gave them too much props that they could be a championship contending team. But they were 2 wins away, and there's a ceiling above both of those guys in Tatum and Brown. Now, if Celtics fans are worried that they're going to implode and that these two are going to, or that Jaylen might leave in a year or so, all right, that's definitely possible.
And I would make.
Don't you want to see it through though? Like, don't you?
I would make a move.
How this thing would happen?
No, you wouldn't.
I would make a move. I just don't want to do it for a 34-year-old to give you a window of 1 to 2 years before you think you're starting
Who's a better
to see decline.
option?
John, when you think of Kevin Durant, the first thing shouldn't be 34-year-old. First of all, I'm offended as a fellow 34-year-old. Have some respect. Second of all,
this is a dream to be in pole position for this player.
Right. Listen, and I'm not trying to dismantle the team for him. I don't think you need to. If they do, then maybe you think twice about it. But John, if you're the same guy who said 2 weeks ago that, you're all butthurt because people told you that you were wrong for wanting to change up the roster, now you have an opportunity to change up the roster.
But I don't want to do it for this. I don't want to do it for that. I would absolutely do it. It's not. I would do it, but I don't want to do it for a 34-year-old player coming off an Achilles injury who has a 1 to 2 year window of being successful for an ascending player who I honestly think isn't necessarily that far off. In 2 years, you could be talking about the same exact player. And that means you're selling out because you think you're going to win a championship this year or next. That's always the deal that you're doing there.
What if you win?
Would everyone take that one championship for 10 years of darkness? I don't know.
Yeah.
Is it worth it?
Yeah, I would do it again. I don't think it was that
But
hard.
if you already think you're there,
if
you already think you're knocking on the door, why not?
Yeah.
But from Jake Fisher, who everybody loves.
What up, Jake?
Gallinari, yep. And
Read it.
Gallinari picking between Chicago and Boston for his next team. Bulls have much of the full MLE to offer, roughly $8 million and a hair more than the Celtics. But Boston appears to be his preferred landing spot. So
Yeah,
Because they have
We'll
the
see.
championship aspirations.
It
Yeah.
must be a
championship
like that
aspirations,
clam chowder or
and
something.
he loves the chowder, and he got the.
I'm
nuts
so
in right
I just
there.
don't
He got the
understand
Italian
it.
food right
Everyone's like, I love Celtics. I love that we're homegrown. It makes it so much better. Rob and
Wait,
Smart and
Kevin Durant
Jalen and
wants to
Jason,
trade?
they're
Get
homegrown.
him out of here.
Get 'em out, all of 'em.
It's not equal though,
First
because
of all,
we're
not
talking
everybody
about.
says that. Second of all, it's not just for some schmuck.
Yes, that's what I'm
Third of
saying.
all-
It's
Jimmy.
not.
We
2
were
years
kicking
ago,
around-
2 years ago, I walked Jalen to the airport. I don't like 34 coming off a major injury. I'm just telling you. It does not. I know Durant is the type of player that could age well. It is risky.
You said that on the
You
show.
gotta take a
actually.
risk.
You said that yourself.
I
He's
have
not a
said it.
34-year-old.
I don't.
that's-
Why do you have to take a risk if you have a young core that went to the finals? The
Because-
Celtics are in need of a risk.
Yes, for this level of a play, the
Oh,
upside
man.
is ginormous.
I wouldn't
Again,
say-
we just finished
You're
that era
shutting
of
your
the,
own
of-
window.
of super
Harden's
teams,
a
man.
risk. Kyrie's a risk. You know, you can go down the line with guys that are a risk. I don't put Kevin Durant in that category, even though he is older. I don't look at him and say, "Oh my God, major red flag, alert,
no,
alert."
there's no major red flags. There's some minor ones.
Yeah, but every trade comes with some risk. Nobody knows. Every trade a team makes thinks that they're winning the trade. Newsflash, everybody. So yeah, one team ends up winning and one team ends up losing it. But if you sit there on your hands for the next 5 years because you think you're right on the brink of something good, guess what? 5 years goes by like that, and you got nothing for Tatum walks or Jalen walks or Rob gets hurt and he's not the same, and Marcus Smart, whatever happens with him. You can sit there and just rest on your laurels of the previous year all you want. But at some point, if a player
I love
becomes
this.
available, a superstar
I love this
becomes
discussion.
available, you might want to take a jab at it.
Well, no, you have to go into next season thinking that they're going to evolve, like thinking that there's another step there. I think there is. If you guys don't think
You
that,
hear what
then
we just said, Joe?
I can
Sweat?
see.
They're
I can
not
see why
there
you want
is.
Durant.
I'm not saying
Their
that
big addition-
they're in trouble. I'm not saying that it's over for them if they don't make the trade. But how do you not at least
I agree.
consider the option? If they don't make the trade and they go into the next season with the same core, I'm not like pissed about it. All I'm saying is once in a blue moon, I guess more often now than ever, but usually once in a blue moon, a superstar player becomes available. And you have to at least take a good look at the options that you have in order
We're
to make
all
that.
saying it. It's just simply the fact that he's 34 years old, and I worry the cliff is coming much sooner than you guys think. We just saw James Harden fly off a cliff after a team gave up the Godfather deal to get him. I get it, but he completely at a little bit younger than Durant's going to be to start this year. He fell off a cliff completely. Different type of guy, different person in terms of how they take care of their body, but Durant's also coming off a major injury. It is disaster city when you buy something and you're like, oh shit, the decline, it just happened. And we're even talking about if he dips 10%, 15%, is he that much better than Jaylen Brown? I mean, this is logical that he will fall. It's logical that Kevin Durant will probably still have value through the course of his deal with the Nets, but it's also extremely logical that he's going to get 5, 10, 15% worse, which is going to put him on a plane with Jaylen Brown. So I don't understand the thinking behind that. That's the safe assumption is that's going to happen. It's pie in the sky that he's going to be awesome forever. That's like my dad's going to live till he's 150. Like it's just.
John, weren't you saying a couple years ago you should be scared of him in the Nets because of how good they're going to be?
Yeah, a couple of years ago.
So today,
a couple days
Durant
ago.
gives you
Couple days ago, he
the
said
best
that,
chance
Bobby.
of a championship today.
Couple days ago, he said it. Couple weeks ago, he said it. Couple months ago, he said it. He's been scared.
Did we
of the
not
Nets.
see the nuance in this?
He's been scared of the Nets since Kevin Durant put on the jersey. But now he has an opportunity.
Yesterday, I'm projecting 2 years, 3 years, 4 years from now when you've absolutely emptied the cupboard of all your resources.
And that's fair. Like this could age toward the back end of the deal.
Not just towards, it could age pretty quick. You look, I'm just going to say this. I'm just going to say this again, and it's a different scenario, but like the Halliburton trade, they're like, well, they did get one of the top players in what's his name? Oh, Jesus Christ. What's his name?
Sabonis.
Sabonis. My God.
The Sabonis trade, Sacramento. Yeah.
And that was, within 2 months, you're like, wait a second, Halliburton's already better than him. You know, like it's like it just takes a little bit of improvement for Jaylen Brown to get into that level. And you're like, oh shoot, we gave away that young guy. What do we do that for?
And coming off the NBA, coming off the NBA Finals, I'd say Jalen's confidence at an all-time high. In his mind, he's like, man, I'll play Jason Tatum. And we came up short, but hey, I'm excited for next year.
Here's the thing, though,
you got them all in.
The improvement quickly turns, as we just mentioned, toward Danilo Gallinari. Like, how much can you project being better?
That's a piece coming off the bench.
That's nothing. Why are we comparing Gallinari?
Yeah. I'm not saying put him in the starting lineup and all of a sudden he's part of this core, but he's a piece off the bench that you didn't have last season.
I was told repeatedly all the Celtics needed to do was add a person like Gallinari and they'd be back to the finals. Now it's like,
Bobby,
I'd rather have Durant than Gallinari. No shit.
Bobby, if Gallinari played on that Celtics team, would he have not been the best player off the bench? In my opinion, like honestly, like after game one,
possible. I mean, he would have been dreadful defensively.
He's the best player off your bench. Like this team needed offense from somebody, and no one could step up, especially those last 3 games of the NBA Final. They need guys that are not afraid to step up. And right now, if you're the Celtics, that's what you're looking at. That's your focus. You can't be distracted by, oh, wait, should we break up this core? Man, we have a chance to get Kevin Durant. No, you have to focus on what your team needs to be better. You know, it's hard. I'm sure it is. I'm sure it's hard thinking, man, but what if they get him? You know, what if Miami Heat all of a sudden get Kevin Durant? What's that going to mean? But you can't go about it this way if you're Brad Stevens. You have to think about addressing your issues. And right now, it's trying to add to that bench. Right now, it's Gallinari. You're in a bidding war, I guess, or whatever it is, because I guess they can't offer more than what the Chicago Bulls can offer. But
and they might be offering 2 years, so that could be.
You're about to lose out on Gallinari. You're in trouble in terms of what
you are. That's the point.
Yeah. Read the report.
Yeah, but that's the thing about what the
Patty Mills, Brooklyn, right 2 years, 14.5.
You can't even get Mills. If you miss out on Durant, this is gonna drop off.
If you miss out on Durant, Durant was never a realistic possibility, nor is it now. This is always going to be.
So why are we doing a show?
I'm saying the Celtics were always. The Celtics were always going to be picking up scraps with nothing but an MLE, a $6.5 million 1-year deal to offer. This is not surprising. Yeah. Any team
stop looking around the NBA, Bobby. Or stop looking at the Devontae Murrays and being like, man, the Celtics could have got that. Like,
yeah, do that little Bobby, do that meme with Bobby looking back at people. So, you know.
Oh, that's Bobby, like 100%. He's always looking at the other. Oh. So, what about that girl over there? That could be with her.
How is this team
gonna? Whoa, Patty Mills.
Nice.
So without Murray, without Gallinari, without Mills, without really anything coming in here, if this is the way it's gonna go, how are they gonna address the playmaking issues along with the spacing issues?
They're not. They're either going to spend deep into the tax by using the TPE. Or they get lucky and there's some crumbs left out at the end when everybody gives all their money away and one guy is left without a dance partner like Schroeder last year, but hopefully a better fit. That's always been the way. That's not surprising, you know?
Yeah, you're a really good team, but you had some glaring issues in the playoffs that could have cost you your run in round 2. And I hate to do that, but it just goes back to the fact that this team has to make some additions, find some ways to patch up some of its problem spots here. I'm not completely opposed to running it back, and I do think internal improvement could really drive this team. But you reached a point at the finals where you were turning the ball over like maniacs. You lost your composure a little bit. You had a bench that couldn't play at all, and you lost 3 games in a row pretty badly to lose.
Bobby hates this Celtics team.
I'm just being realistic about what happened. They weren't right on the. They weren't right on the precipice of winning it. They didn't lose Game 7 at the buzzer.
You are stealing my material right now, Bobby.
Dude, I don't know who's who. I don't know who's who right now.
You guys are Swiss rolls. What's going on here? Damn.
I just don't listen.
Bobby wants the Celtics to get a home run in this offseason. I don't know if that's.
I'm as big of a fan of Jaylen Brown as anybody. He's right underneath the Horford one. It's Brown.
And I'm not, and I'm saying this.
But you you have to be realistic about who we're talking about here. If you really want to think long and hard about this and say, all right, this core is great, they're going to continue to get better, Durant's aging, the cost is going to be too high, etc., I'll accept that. If you're just going to look at his name and go, nope, don't want Durant, I don't get that. He's one of the best players ever. Like, I don't know how you can just say no outright. This isn't Beal, this isn't Simmons, this isn't Murray. Like, this is Kevin Durant, especially if he wants to come here, which I still haven't gotten a good gauge on. Like, if he wants to come here, then I think you have to definitely entertain what the cost is going to be. Like I said, my take is if it's Brown and picks, I'm all for it. If it's more than that, probably not, because you're probably not deep enough. And let's also acknowledge this guy could be a huge help to Tatum's growth, freeing up him for better looks, helping him model his game after Durant's game. All the little things that go into it and make Durant one of the best players ever could rub off on Tatum. The experience of having played USA with him, does this make Tatum more enamored with Boston long term? Like, those are things you got to think about too.
All I have to say is this is nothing but Jalen disrespect here. Nothing but Jalen.
That's what I hate about it, because that's what it's going to become.
You disgust me. You disgust. I knew what this was about.
Nothing but Jalen disrespect. You guys are the ones driving Jalen out of town. You guys.
I hate this. I hate this, John.
He would have liked that comment from John. He would have liked that comment.
Sure. I hate this, John, because they're not going to do it, and it's going to turn into Brown Disrespect City, and then we're going to do another show on that, and I'm going to be one of the guys who is disrespecting Brown.
But also, Celtics fans, do you remember that you hate Kevin Durant and like everything he stands for, and spend a lot of time on Twitter like needling him, like and about what a baby he is and all of his burner accounts? Like, you don't like this guy. You don't like him. I want to remind you that you don't like Kevin Durant. You don't want to be associated with a Kevin Durant winning team. Trust me, you don't. Like, you think you do, but you don't. You don't like Kevin Durant. You have to be reminded of it. You hate him. He's one of your least favorite players in the NBA.
No, he is. But if you're trying to win, you kind of have to swallow.
This is a real question, John. I wonder what
I would have, John. That's my biggest concern, is that I would hate the Celtics.
You would hate them.
I know. But I also feel like he might just be awesome, and people would just be like, "Yeah, he's freaking awesome." Maybe he just changes the whole opinion everybody has on him. He just is this killer, comes to Boston like KG did, and just completely flips the script on where everything's at, and like everyone's like, oh yeah, the Golden State's version of KD or Brooklyn's version of KD. We don't even know that guy, that's a possibility.
Well, for what it's worth, he would definitely be way more Celtic than anybody else. I'm sorry, I'm just putting it out there. I can see Durant doing the whole this is my city now, for that aspect, and obviously seeing the Celtics trade for one of the best scorers of all time would be interesting, obviously. But does it make you better? Are you a better team? Not even in the long run, but in the next in the next 2 years. Like, are you a better team with KD outside? Without Jalen or whatever else is going to cost them.
You think KD's selling out and playing Ime's branded defense for 42 minutes a game? Like, he's
a baller. Like,
I like KD. I don't think he's quitting on him.
I just tweeted at Bobby. I just murdered Bobby with a meme. I just made the meme while we were talking.
He's going to defend John. I don't think he's a defender he used to be, but this is a guy who defends. This is a guy that can make some plays. This is a guy that can make people around him better. This is a guy that can carry you to a championship, as we've seen.
I think he lurks, Bobby. I don't know if he plays defense. He lurks.
Live meme maker. Saw me make it live, tweeted it at Bobby, just killed him live on Twitter.
Here's my question for you, because I'm not discounting your points about the personality, John. I think the personality points are a concern.
I'm just saying you won't want to root for him when he's here. That's all I'm saying.
All right, so you don't think it gets in the way?
That's the only good point you've made on this show tonight.
You know why I love my favorite topic? My favorite topics are always ones that people are so passionate and certain that they're right on both sides, and it's a dead split. It's friggin' perfect. As many people who are like, it's KD, are you insane? You have just as many on the other side. Like, I would never trade Jalen.
But John, do those personality points get in the way of you winning?
Yes.
All All right, so it's
Man,
a real concern.
put the throwback pick on too.
Wait, show him mine, John. Show him mine. I did the
I
same
don't
one.
have yours. Ahmed
wasn't
made this
yours?
one for me.
No, that's not mine, but I love that
I
one.
thought this was yours,
It's very
funny.
close.
Jimmy. Wait. Show him mine.
Meanwhile, Jimmy has said the
Yes,
same
Jimmy,
thing.
we'll
I've
put
said all
your
show
drawing
long.
up on the fridge too. I'm sure it's very good.
Do mine next. Do mine next. That's great though. I didn't have time to crop heads on stuff. I just had to do
I
the
was gonna
old
say, damn, you did that
classic
quick.
meme. Classic meme text.
It's good
But
stuff.
That one kind of stole my thunder. so
I'm
now we can
actually
do-
surprised I'm sitting in the corner I am here without much people agreeing with me. Jimmy agrees with me, which I think is valid, but again, it's Kevin
rarely
Durant.
happens.
It's
Yeah.
Kevin Durant.
This one was
Don't
Jimmy's.
get,
This
don't
one
get
was
too
Jimmy's.
comfortable with that. What do we got? Oh, here we go. Yeah.
Jimmy just did names.
That one, but that could be for
Ah,
anything. That doesn't just go for KD or.
Yeah, flip and flop.
What did
I'll
I
go with
flip
that
flop on here?
Simmons earlier,
Trading.
and then
Oh.
you took-
The
you took
Simmons
Zannis
that
was
was
epic.
all-time flip flop on Zannis. I mean,
This is one of my favorite shows we've
But
done in a long
times
time.
change,
It really is.
circumstances change.
I
It's gonna
love
be
this
very
show.
interesting because they will be in on this in some form or fashion. I don't know if they're gonna dive all the way in, but like Jimmy said, it's due diligence going
Well,
after a guy like this. I do wonder though, with Brad's comments about like the team and the identity that they built and the fragileness of that, this would certainly crash that argument in a million pieces if you did something like this. So I wouldn't be stunned at all if they just say no thanks and run it back and do what they're doing here.
Well, the
I
other
don't
thing
know.
is when a player with, if a player with a big salary wants to go to a certain couple of teams, sometimes you need to get that third team involved. And that's the way the Celtics can get involved. They can
That's a
dump
side benefit
contract.
of this.
They can dump a contract or pick up a team. Like Trader Danny would be all over this. It'd be like the TPE trade machine. He would be doing it all, try to get his hands on the trade in some way. So this is an
calling other
interesting,
teams.
exactly interesting spot for Brad to be in. If they don't get KD, or if KD just doesn't want to come to Boston, which probably is true, then how else can they get involved? And just there's other avenues. So yeah, obviously Brad's got the phone's ringing right now, seeing how they can get involved in it, even if they don't get him directly. And
Yeah.
Guys,
probably getting a worse Nets team out of this. So it's good news for the Celtics either way, whether he comes to Boston, especially if he goes out west. Put him back out west, weaken the East a little bit more, makes the Celtics.
What if
that
he
much
goes to
better.
Miami though?
If he goes, I don't know
Yeah.
how can Miami do it. I don't know. They say every
Well, the
year
Bam
they have,
Adebayo
a
thing
max
is
spot available.
that's the problem, right?
Yeah.
Bam.
This is complicated. And again, like I think Boston's in a really good position if they want to do this to make it happen because the other teams are really in a tough spot to make this work.
Well, the competitive
Well,
teams, right?
it can go forever. And honestly, it's a really good debate. And I see the merit to the other side for sure. And it's not totally dismissing. I don't think it's crazy. It's just hedging your bet. Which side of it are you on? Are you nervous about the age and the window and the fit? Or do you think Jalen has another level? Do you think they're going to come kind of meet each other somewhere in the middle? That's where I am. I think they'll meet each other in the middle sooner than later. And that you'll be annoyed that you gave all that stuff away for roughly the same caliber player in a year from now or something like 2 years from now. And then it's possible KD just, continues just annihilating the league for the next 3-4 years. And you think, well, shit, I should have done it. So I get it all. That's where we are. We could go in circles on it, but we do have to wrap it. We've been going a bit, 90 minutes or so. Once again, we want to remind everybody at home, calm.com/garden, number one health and wellness app there. Give it a shot. Sleep guided meditation stories and curated music tracks, ways to kind of help you relax and get your mind and your body right. So go check it out. Everyone here at the Garden Report does. Once again, NBA free agency is officially underway. Jaylen Brown disrespect has been going on for 4 hours or
my
longer.
God. Is that what I'm going to be known as now? Now I'm going to be people are going to be tweeting at me, blaming me. Just because I think Kevin Durant is an interesting
No. It
trade.
just is what it is.
Someone send Jimmy some Jaylen Brown highlights from this season. That's what I want to see.
Yeah.
Like I
By the
said,
way,
if the trade doesn't go down, I'm not down on the Celtics going into next season. It's just when a superstar player is available, you poke around. You see what it's going to take. I'm not actively trying to trade any of the Celtics' top players. This is a very rare situation. And for people to just be blind homers like John up there in the top left and just refuse to acknowledge like
John's a homer.
I'm
pretty
stunned. The
rare
chat's like
opportunity.
75-25,
What world
maybe
is
higher
Coming
right
from
now,
a guy, let me remind you guys, coming from a guy in Jonathan Zannis, who has probably said trade Jalen more than all of three of us combined over the last few years. And now, when there's an opportunity to trade for a top player of all time, yes, I know he's 34. Now he thinks it's like the worst thing you could even imagine. Like you can't even.
Again,
that's what I'm
imagine
shocked
thinking
about.
Again,
Jimmy.
I'm just again. You're
The
talking
adamant
about.
no.
It's no. What's interesting to me is
You can't have it both ways, John.
It's not both ways. What's interesting is if you look at it based off of players entering their age 34, 35 seasons and where they typically go, the smart money is on precipitous decline. So like just to ignore it and be like, yeah, but I don't think so is strange. It's strange for me because I think everyone's just so drunk on the notion of a player of this caliber being made available that you're just not thinking it. You're not thinking it all the way through. If you go through history, look at the amount of guys 34, 35 plus that continued to play at that elite level or better. It's not. I'm sorry. That's where I think it goes. It's more likely than not he's going to stay flat or start to decline at least a little, if not really noticeably decline based on age.
Well,
and again, he's coming off a time. Look at the people in Brooklyn; they're killing his performance there. Anyway,
maybe you can get him with Tice, White, and Pritchard, like everybody wants to.
I don't know. Yeah, that's what I want.
Wild
Anyway,
report.
guys, we got to wrap it again. We've been going a ton, but we promise we will hop right back on here the second anything happens. If there's any major news, expect us to jump back. You can follow all of our Twitter handles here or Celtics CLNS. You'll get notifications. But the easiest way to be notified is subscribe to our YouTube channels here where you're watching this show. Turn on your notifications and hit that little bell there, and you'll be notified every time we go live. We do promote it on our Twitter feed as well, and try to get the word out to you guys earlier in the day. So we don't know when the next time will be, but I guarantee something does happen. We'll hop up there as soon as it does and try to break it down for you guys. Guys, anything before we wrap it?
Are you guys Gallo fans?
I for $6 million, sure.
Yeah, same. I'll take it.
So there was a conflicting report, I guess, that the Bulls are offering him 2 years, maybe, and it sounds like they're maybe leading. So
I'm not crazy about it.
I don't think any of us came in today expecting.
I'm not crazy about it, but it wouldn't be the worst thing.
Right. And though this is a polarizing topic, I do want people to avoid turning on one another here. We're all on the same team. Everyone's really mad for the want Jalen, don't want, want Durant, don't want Durant.
I'm not actually mad.
Not you guys in the chat.
None of us will be mad if they don't.
I was gonna say, John, we've gotten way nastier. We've gotten pretty.
Oh no.
We've gotten pretty heated. We've gotten heated before, way more heated than that. But okay, I got you.
You
mean in the chat? You mean in the chat?
They're starting to get mad at each other, and we're all on the same team, guys. Okay.
The chat.
We were on the other side of this conversation for Simmons, which again, it still makes my head spin. That you'd want Simmons for Brown and now Durant.
No. I don't want to go down that one road again. I just wanted to point out that it was not before Simmons' meltdown. It was not the laughable trade everyone was making it out. The idea. Oh my God, that would be crazy. They'd hang up immediately. All we were doing is beating back on come on, God, you really think this isn't even a discussion? That was all we were talking about. Not that we would do
this
it.
Should be a discussion
every one of us
too.
said no. That's all. It is a discussion.
This should be a discussion too.
And
I won't be mad if they don't do it. I like the core too. I like the pieces they have. I like the trajectory here. But man, you gotta try. This is a huge piece.
If the Celtics do sign Durant, I do still encourage fans to go to the Garden and boo him. I think that would be fine.
Imagine.
I think we can all agree on this point. It's good. It's a good problem to have. It's a good debate to have. You at least have a team good enough and players that are talented enough to even be in the conversation. Whether or not it happens, whether or not you want it to happen, you're in a lot better position than 85% of the league, let's say.
Yeah. We'll see. We'll see
leave
what
it at
happens. I think the Celtics are going to knock on that door. And as Bobby, and it said here, I do believe that they can put together a good package here because I don't think you're getting a player of Brown's caliber from too many other teams. So we'll see what happens there. But again, we'll jump back on if anything happens. Until then, the Garden Report. Almost a full house. Don't have Sherrod. He's doing some summer
What up,
school.
Sherrod?
But he'll
Summer
join
school.
us as well when stuff
I wonder
happens.
how he feels about this. I'm interested.
I don't know. Should we do another hour on how Sherrod feels? I don't know.
Yeah.
We
What would Sherrod say?
I wonder what he's thinking right now. Do a little bubble.
Nice, good tease. Good tease
We
for the
should have
next one. I
texted
guess.
him. He would have hit
I
us
should
up
go
in
over to
Slack.
bowling in.
Yeah, let's go check it out. So we'll catch you guys as soon as there's breaking news. If not, we'll be back on next week, just doing regularly scheduled shows, a couple
Can I
times a
do a
week
quick
throughout the
plug?
off season. Yeah,
No, let me get a plug too, man.
All right,
Go.
You first. No,
Okay.
you first, man. Mine's crazy.
If anyone lives in the Boston area tomorrow and isn't going away for 4th of July, I'm playing at Hunter's in Southie, 3 to 6. Little guitar, little
I'll be
singing,
there.
great
Nice.
food,
Your
couple
plug's better
beers.
than mine.
If you're a fan of the show and you come, I'll even consider buying you a beer. How about that? So that's Hunter's.
Love it.
Oh, that might be a lot of beers,
Nice.
Jimmy. Look out.
Tell him the
I'm
Garden
pulling up.
Report sent you.
Say less. I'm pulling
And
up.
no heckling. No heckling.
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't
Very
do that.
fragile.
That's just
All right.
rude.
Josue, what's your plug?
So I got a long form story that's going to be on CLNSmedia.com. I got a chance to I had a sit down with Sonia Curry, Steph Curry's mother, after the Warriors topped the Celtics. And listen, Celtics fans, I know what you're thinking. Oh, I don't want to hear her talk about her son, yada, yada, yada. We had a really good conversation, and you'll be surprised because she had a lot to say about Boston. So look out for that. It's going to be on CLNSmedia.com. Long form article on Sonia Curry. So check
Love
it out.
it. Looking forward to it.
Very cool.
And check out all of Bobby's stuff, keeping up with the free agent updates on CLNSmedia.com, of
Yes,
course. And again,
definitely.
a slew of Celtics and basketball related podcasts that are on our network all the time, multiple dropping every single week, a ton of good stuff. So check that out. Until next time, folks, we will see you